Okay, so I'm pretty sure it's safe to say this is about the rarest machine I'll probably ever have in my collection. So this is one of the Capture dry carpet cleaning machines that Fantom built back in the day. Now the thing I'm actually really surprised about is I've seen the Capture Nova Dry and the Kenmore version. I never seen one. I knew from the documentation I had on Fantom that there was supposedly one that was just called basically the Fantom carpet cleaning machine. This is apparently that machine. So this popped up on eBay pretty recently, and just by chance I happened to be browsing the vintage vacuum section and saw it. It was brand new in box, and I just pounced on it. Because really, I've always been interested in these. I've always wanted one. I never expected to find any kind of new in box Fantom in my lifetime that I could get my hands on, much less something that's pretty rare like this. So I have not turned this on yet, so I don't know if it even works, really. It'll be an interesting experiment on, you know, both ends. We'll see how it goes. But I'm going to get it plugged in. We're going to try cleaning this carpeting. So if you can see this one noticeably whiter area, this has been cleaned with Capture before, quite a while ago. And the rest of it, including the other whites, are still darker, more kind of yellowed out in this carpeting. So we're going to give it a shot, cleaning with Capture, new Capture that I have. And basically after that, this machine is going to go away and probably not going to be used or touched again. Just because of the fragility of the plastic gears in here, from what I've heard, and the, of course, lack of replacement parts. So I'm going to get the machine loaded up with Capture. I'll get the cord unwound, and I've already pre-vacuumed this. Well, actually, we'll start there. I've already pre-vacuumed this with the compressor, but Fantom, in their instructional video, which hopefully I'll find a way to get up on my channel soon, says to pre-vacuum with the Capture machine first before you put Capture in it to put on your carpeting. Mainly because, wow, that's a lot smaller than I ever assumed it would be. That thing is tiny. So this is the brush roll that they use. Damn, that is tiny. I was expecting something a lot bigger bore, but that's very small and the bristles are very soft. So, yeah, we'll see how it works. This machine overall, as a whole, is a lot more small, and I guess you could say light, than I ever expected. Now, I was going to show, crack open the container of canister and show you what basically 20-year-old Capture looks like. But unfortunately, the Capture canister that came in this did not stay sealed. It cracked open, so basically it's just dried out Capture. There's nothing really more to show. There's nothing to see how well those bins that they come in originally, you know, preserve the powder. The other thing I will show you, because the person who sent this to me didn't really look through the contents, I guess. Now, there's no private information other than the name, but this is the original order sheet with the original order number and name. So, yeah, we're talking about getting very close to the original order of this machine being 20 years old at this point. So, I'm going to get it plugged in, we'll vacuum the rug and see what it can pull out of the rug after being cleaned by the compressor, and then we'll see what it's like to actually clean with one of these. Alright, so I've got it all plugged in. Moment of truth after sitting 20 years. There is the handle release. Here's the actual control switch. So you've got off, kind of in the center, brush and dispense options, and vacuum is all the way forward. So let's see what happens. Oh, that sounds horrible. Let's see if it sounds as horrible when it's just to brush and dispense. Oh, God. Yep, that sounds horrible. Which, really, I shouldn't be surprised. Being stored for 20 years with no use does not always bode well for a lot of machines. I'm personally debating on whether continuing this video. I think I'm actually going to grab the service manual really quick, see how difficult it is to pull the machine apart, and we'll go from there. Okay, so against what is probably my better judgment, we're going to try this out in its current horridly sounding state. So I've got capture in it. I'm going to move the machine to the dispense position, and we're going to see how this goes. So, and by the way, I should point out, new capture loaded in, fresh capture. So the first thing that I mainly notice is this really, I don't know if this is how it's designed or what, this really does not put much capture at all on the carpet. So let's go back to brush. Really doesn't seem to do all that great a job. So let's see what vacuum does. Now, a couple quick notes for you guys watching. The cyclonic collection that you see and the action you're seeing, that's not like an optical illusion between the frame rate of the capture or anything like that in the camera. It actually spins in that slowly. So the first thing really that you need to know about this machine, if you don't already understand or know about these, which some people do, some people don't, This is actually a direct air dual cyclonic vacuum. So there's a direct air motor that drives everything, a 5.5 amp direct air motor that blows everything in the collection bin, and that's how it achieves its cleaning. So it's just slow. The cyclonic action is really slow, even on light, fine particulate like capture. So, I mean, if you can see, did not really work capture down into the bottom of the pile at all. What I'm going to try and do is coat capture just over the surface with this, with the normal spreader tool that comes in the bucket, and coat it in a little bit thicker, and we'll see what happens then. Okay, so capture applied. The other thing I realized I forgot is to pre-spray it with the pre-mist. Got that down while I was putting this batch down. So, clearly there's a lot more capture than the machine was dispensing. Let's see what happens with this. I have to say, I'm not really all that impressed. Kind of the first time, and I mean, I should say with an obvious disclaimer, this machine sounds fucked, which, after 20 years of sitting in storage, is kind of expected. But, at least in my case, this is kind of the first time I've ever been disappointed in a way with a Fantom Technologies product. Now, the reason why I say that, I'm actually going to bring out in just a second, because if you're not going to spend additional money on a specific machine, this is about the best machine I've found for actually applying capture. So I'll be right back with that. Now, excuse the blurriness, this machine needs no introduction. Everyone knows what it is, I believe, for the most part. So what I do with this SmartVac is it's got a nice, huge, very, very large brush roll with very stiff bristles on it and a synthetic belt. So, lowest carpet setting, suction diverted to the hose instead of the floor. Let's go. finale that I always like. So, yeah, today, all in all, has been kind of a disappointing day. Capture really has not performed today in the way I generally see it perform in my home. So, at some point soon, that means this carpet will probably be getting actually steam cleaned. Capture machine, rare, very interesting, especially new in box. Might have performed better when it was newer, but I can't really see that. The brush roll is pretty pathetic. I imagine like the Dri-Star Powerhead personally being a lot better from what I've seen of it. So I'm going to move the Eureka out of the way. I'm not going to leave this capture sit for 30 minutes because capture generally, if it doesn't do anything while you're scrubbing it in, it doesn't do anything while it sits. That's just not the way it works. And I'm not really too terrified of sucking up a slightly damp powder in a direct air bagless machine. And yeah, then we'll follow up with the compressor, I think, and see if its abilities to extract capture from carpet are better than its abilities to distribute it in. Alright, here we go. Fantom machine, last run. Alright, so, final opinions. Now, it didn't do all that bad with the pickup of the capture, to be completely honest, especially while it's still wet. And you can definitely see that it is actually digging deep into the carpet, because even once you stop on a spot that looks like it's completely cleaned, you can still see capture spiraling in through the bin. Now, a problem I really have with it is the speed with which it works is not what I would expect. I expect direct air machines with aggressive brush rolls to simply devour dirt. And to be completely honest, I think if you put any, and I'm not going to do it, but if you put any normal Fantom that is a clean air machine where the motor's behind the cyclones, I think you would get much faster, much better performance of it pulling dirt out of the carpeting. Now, that being said, is it possible that it's just because this is so old, neglected, and obviously in need of lubrication and God knows what else? yeah, that's a definite possibility, because this thing is not running in tip-top shape like a new machine would, but I still cannot imagine that this was ever all that impressive of a system. So, again, kind of a disappointment, kind of a letdown. I'm going to try and let this dry, depending if I run out of time or not. I'm going to try and let this dry for about 30 minutes, and then we'll go back over it and see what the compressor can retrieve from the carpeting. But yeah, all in all, pretty disappointing result. It did get a little bit of, where is it, carpet fluff and fiber, but other than that, I've seen much more impressive results just working in capture with the Eureka and then vacuuming it up with anything else that I have. This is also, to be completely honest, not all that user-friendly. Kind of the appeal behind this, at least in my mind, is you only need one machine to put the capture in, scrub it in, and vacuum it up. But really, it doesn't do all that great a job of dispensing the capture. It doesn't do all that great a job of scrubbing the capture in. And it does a meh job of actually picking the capture up. So, yay. Here is the rating plate also, while I'm thinking about it. Made in Mexico, not a Canadian model. Yeah, that's basically it. So you get to see what is the very interesting capture machine, direct air dual cyclonic bagless. And that's really about it. Again, I'm very, very disappointed. Hopefully soon I'll be able to get the demonstration video, the how to use video, up, because that came with mine. It was brand new, sealed, it played perfectly. I got a copy transferred to DVD, so I'll see about getting that up on the channel hopefully soon. And yeah, that's about it. If you have any questions about it, feel free to leave me a comment. You really won't see this in any future videos. It's kind of just going back kind of into storage for the rest of its life, unless I can find spare parts and try and pull this thing apart and get it all lubricated and maybe running nice, but that's most likely never going to happen. Okay, now this carpeting has not dried. This video has kind of been a clusterfuck of what I thought it would be. So I figured, let's add to the clusterfuckery. It has not been more than probably a minute since I made the last video. The capture is still wet. I'm gonna dump this on this hard floor here. Make sure it's actually empty. Give me a second, I'll put the camera down. Maybe you guys can get a little view of this, although I do not think it's gonna, oh, there we go. Alright, so to everyone that loves their Dysons, there's a graphic illustration of the kind of crap that stays trapped in your machine cyclones at any time. And they're horrible to get apart in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, don't buy a Dyson. Buy something with a cheap but decent cyclone from someone other than Dyson on the market that you can easily disassemble and get the crap out of, that won't clog like that in the first place. That Hoover Rewind Elite that I've reviewed is a good example of that, or any of the T-Series machines. Don't clog as much, easier to take apart. So, now, I have used this machine for capture cleanup before. And this is one of kind of the most meh cleaning machines I have, next to the 39 that's got a turbine head. But I always use this a lot of the time to get up kind of the surface remnants of capture before I go to town with a deeper cleaning machine, just so its system doesn't have to deal with so much of it. So here we go. Let's see what this can pull up right after the capture machine. So almost right away, there's more crap. Even the stuff that was wet looking that the capture machine was struggling with is coming up. This is also clogged somewhere with something for some reason, so that's real interesting. Let's see. Is there something directly clogging you? I'm going to pull this nozzle apart. I'll be right back. Alright, so it's not clogged in the nozzle. Thought it might have been because of the way the nozzle was hopping around earlier. What it actually looks like is the pre-filter is clogged, which is kind of pathetic. I don't know if it's from banging it out on the floor and dust rising back up this stupid intake channel that Dyson decided was a brilliant idea instead of having dust come into the canister like a normal canister. But, that being said, clogged filter, crappy brush roll, and horrid design and all, and it still was able to pick up a pretty substantial amount of stuff after the Fantom machine, which, again, I am incredibly disappointed by this day. So, and these machines. We'll see when this dries what the Kenmore can, or what the LG rather can do. But yeah. Okay, so at this point it's been about 30 minutes since the first application of capture, which they say should be enough for it to dry and be able to be vacuumed and released from the carpet freely. Now, anyone who's actually used capture knows that's complete bullshit, and really it takes more like about a day plus for it to dry completely and fully release from the carpet, where you can really get the most out of it. But for the time constraints and purposes of this demo, here's the 30 minutes the manufacturer recommends. Here is an empty, and as clean as I'm going to bother getting it, LG compressor bin. So I'll get that back in there. Let's see what got left behind, shall we? And this is why I love my compressor. Not to mention, it pulls it out so quickly you can't even see it clouding in the nozzle. It just pulls it out. And the dual cyclonic system does a brilliant job of keeping it off the filters and pulling it into the canister. So that's with the power head sitting in one spot, clearing all the capture out. So yes, this stuff gets very deep into your carpet and is very hard to pull out, as everyone has constantly told me over the years. More of this will come out once it's more fully dried as well. And it's still coming in a large amount. But this is why I refer to the compressor as one of the best cleaning machines that I have. So I'm going to pause this. I think you guys trust me enough and have been watching me for enough years at this point. I'm going to pause this video and I'll show you the results I get, how much capture I get back up at the very end. Okay, so I've spent probably an additional 10 minutes, let's say, vacuuming. And I vacuumed till the air coming in was mainly clear of capture. But again, we all know this is capture. I could be here all day cleaning. The best bet is to wait for it to fully dry and fully release from the carpet and then continue on. So, with that being said, this is what the compressor pulled out, if I can get the damn lid off, of the carpet that the other machines left. So, not an insignificant amount. It also pulled up additional pet hair. Now, this is the thing that I've always liked about this machine for how aggressive it is. There's no carpet fiber in here. You can see there's that little bit of dust and dirt down in there that is pet hair. What the capture machine actually pulled out when it was on vacuum appeared to be more carpet fiber than anything else. And for those of you who are curious, here's what the filter chamber in the compressor looks like after that. Although, I probably should have given you a before shot because this filter probably hasn't been cleaned in, well, I'd say at least a year or two since I last gave it a clean out. Granted, the machine hasn't been used that much in that time, but it's been used enough to already accumulate more dirt on it. But that's really the reason why I like the compressor so much and why I find it to be such a great cleaner. It pulls all kinds of dirt out of the carpet. Obviously, you can see by the way it doesn't really cloud in the brush roll window. It pulls everything out that goes in the nozzle very quickly into the hose, sends it through the cyclonic cassette, and into the bin. For a dual cyclonic machine, which isn't even really dual cyclonic, it's more like two single cyclone systems, but nevertheless, you get my point. It filters very well for what it is, it cleans very well for what it is, and it's one of the reasons why this machine will always hopefully stay in my collection, and anything I can do to keep it running will be done, because it's just, I've never been quite so impressed with a machine, especially with the way the compressor system works, because the only machine that I have that's bagless that can really compare to this with cleaning is the Dri-Lux Ultra Active that I have. But the cyclonic and the filtration system on that in comparison is so poor that when I was using it to clean up capture like this, which I did for many a years, what would happen is the capture would bypass the single cyclone in that canister, go straight to the foam filter, go through the foam filter, go through the motor, go through the insulating material around the motor, and get clogged in the HEPA filter. And I mean, it was so bad that I could literally take the HEPA filter and just bang it out, and you would see these big chunks of compacted capture come out. So I stopped very quickly with that. It doesn't make it too far past the cyclones with this before being trapped by the filter, and most of it ends up in here anyway. This actually has, I would say, cyclonic filtration about on par, if not slightly above, the Workhorse / ClearTrack twins, which for dual cyclonic machines in their own right are already very impressive. So that's about the end of this, probably very long at this point, and very, very messy video. So I hope you guys have enjoyed. Again, if you have any questions about any of the machines that you've seen throughout the course of this demo, leave a comment. And to those of you who commented on the LG Compressor video, I know there was one person in particular, you said you had played with them and seen them once before, but you had never really gotten a chance to use them, and it sounded like it was a good performer. I hope this gives you a better gauge of just how well this machine does perform, because it's never failed to impress me, no matter where I've taken it or what I've done with it.